Here, more than 110 projects, and coordinators from 27 countries. I mean, we are young, but we are already up and running. So, but I mean, we can't take credits for everything, because before than us there was a unit DG Connect who had started all this. Now the following presentation is done by someone that has an important role in this unit, which is Francesco Barbato, which is head of sector for cybersecurity, industry and innovation, and he is going to present us the core activity of the European Cybersecurity Competence Center, which is the implementation of the projects. And now if we are all today here, it's because we have open calls. And these calls have topics, and these topics need to be explained. And Francesco is here for this. Thanks a lot, Francesco. The floor is yours.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ilan, for the introduction, and also thanks to Luca, for managing the overall implementation of this event, and thank to all the colleagues for having organized this event. It's not trivial to organize an event with so many people here. So what I would like to do is to guide you through the open call 6 of the Digital Europe World Program, as Ivan has explained. I have a little bit of an easier road because Luca has explained already a few things that I wanted to say. He showed you the structure of the Digital Europe Program, and I will refer to that also in a moment to explain a couple of things. So what I will do during this presentation, it's actually quite difficult for me because this presentation can take 2 hours, can take 30 minutes. So I will try to guide you through, as I said, which means I'm not going to read the work program together with you. I'll try to explain the objectives of the topics and give you the gist of the topics. Then, myself and my colleagues, we are available here throughout the day to answer questions. Also, there will be a little time, hopefully, now that we have 10-15 minutes for questions after my presentation, before we go to the coffee break, so that we can discuss collectively whatever issues you may want to raise with these topics. As I said, first I will go through the Cybersecurity World Program call, and then I will also address the Cybersecurity Skills Academy, which is actually hosted in the main DEP World Program. So Luca showed you the slide before with all the various pillars of DEP. Cybersecurity is a standalone one, that's why we have a Cybersecurity World Program. And then we have a main work program where there are different actions listed, including the one for the advanced digital skills, which is another pillar of that, as it was shown in that slide. So that's why the Cybersecurity Skills Academy is hosted in the main work program and not in the DEP. And then I will give you just an outlook on what's coming up. So the open call I'm going to describe, there are more calls that are going to open during the year. I'm going to give you an overview of that, together also with the 2 topics that will open in June for Horizon Europe. Then also 2 disclaimers. There is actually 1 additional open call that is just open on the 15th of February. That call is reserved to the national coordination centers. So this is not open for everybody, it's only reserved and targeted towards the NCCs that you heard many times today. This is to fund their own activities and to give them support to be passed on to their own stakeholders. So I'm not going to discuss that call, so that discussion we're going to have it together with the NCCs so that it's more targeted. Then another important disclaimer. So I'm here to try to present the objectives, as I said, give you the gist of the work program, but the work program text prevails over me. So if I say something incorrect, or you misunderstand me, or you misinterpret something, please bear in mind that the only authoritative source of information is the work program. Having that said, I'll try to do the best of my possibilities and give you a little bit the overview of what's coming up. Then, this is the list of the topics. So there are 6 that are open out of the Cybersecurity World Program. They can be divided into 3 groups. The first one has to do with the uptake and deployment of advanced digital technologies for the security operations centers in particular. Then there is the support to the implementation of the upcoming CRA legislation, Cybersecurity Resilience Act, which is going to be quite a paradigm change for cybersecurity in Europe and beyond. And then there is the transition to post-quantum encryption. So these are the 3 blocks of the calls that are open today. Overall, 6 topics, plus, as I said, a few words on the Cyber Skills Academy from the main work program. Now, let me just go back so I can show you the dates. So the call opened in January, and you will close on the 26th of March, so there is still a little bit more than a month available for applying. Also, a very important message, that is the deadline, typically it's 5 p.m. at Brussels time. If you decide to submit, don't wait the very last minute to submit, do it a little bit earlier, because the system tends to heat up normally. It's scaled up to allow all registration to happen, but if you do it at the very last minute, then maybe some glitches will happen and then you will remain out. So difficult then to build up a case on that. So don't wait the very last minute to submit. Very first tip, very important one. Then, I can start with the first topic, on the novel application of artificial intelligence and other enabling technologies for security operations center. So what is this topic about? First of all, also I need to say something else important. I want to reinforce a message that was passed by Luca before. Digital Europe program is not Horizon Europe. So it's very different in terms of general objectives. This is not about research. This is about deployment and uptake of technologies. Deployment and uptake, capacity building, as Luca said. Horizon Europe is dedicated to research and innovation. We'll see a little bit later. But here, make no mistake, we're not looking for research activities to be done. We're looking for deployment and uptake of solutions that I will describe now. Luca talked extensively about the security operations centers, the importance that are taken in our operations. They come from the Cybersecurity Solidarity Act. Yes, there may be a different name coming up there. But anyway, the kind of operations that we want to support here is with the uptake of modern digital technologies. Today, you know that with scaling up of the possibilities of cyber attacks given by artificial intelligence and declination of that, there is a big problem to also equip our operational centers, security operation centers, to deal with the scale of cyber attacks and to deal with the large volume of data that can be collected out of the cyber threat intelligence devices. And there is a need to process all this data to make it actionable for the operators to react. So it is important that in Europe we build up such capacities that today are not so available in the market. It is of utmost importance, I think, that Europe become independent in the delivery to the member states, to the operators, to the cybersecurity operators, of technologies for which they actually are dependent from other parts of the world. I don't think this comes as a surprise to anybody, but you know that the Americans and the Israelis typically dominate the market in such areas. With this call, we would like to give resources to technology providers to set up European original CTI feeds, for example. So number one objective of this topic is to try to supply Europe with such capacities. Then there's the technology part as well. So the artificial intelligence and the declinations of artificial intelligence, such as, for example, generative AI, that today is a lot of hype. You read everywhere about the conversational applications of generative AI. There are applications for cybersecurity as well that will help cope with the volumes, with the scale that are pertinent today of the attacks. And with all the increased demands that countering all those attacks require. Those kind of applications are available, starting to be available again in other markets of the world, not so much in the European one. And again, with this topic, we would like to support those kind of applications to be put on the market in a faster fashion. So we need to be able to respond real time to this kind of attacks, and we need to build up the right tools and adopt the right technologies for SOCs to be able to do that. Again, this is really based on market research. If you look at the European landscape for this kind of AI-based applications, it's not that there are as many available as, again, we would like. So again, with this topic, we would like to support the emergence of a larger European market in this area. So again, as I said, I'm not going to go to the whole text of the slides. They will be distributed. They largely take from the work program itself, so I'm not going to go read through all of them. Then, we have 30 million euro available for this call, which is quite a substantial amount. They are distributed through simple grants, which means that recipients will receive 50% co-financing for this activity. Projects will typically last for 3 years. And in the call document, okay, here I introduce another important information. Together with the work program, there is a call document that is published on the EU funding and tendering portal that explains a little bit better the requirements for the call, in particular about technicalities. Technicalities of the application and the eligibility. Here in the call document, for example, we list that the average size of these grants should be around 4 to 5 million euro. Anything that is different is also welcome, so that's just a target number, but projects can be a bit smaller or a bit larger depending on the actual requirements. This is for technology providers to work with the operators of SOCs and other relevant stakeholders. Again, this is being a deployment project. This is not so much for universities. This is targeted more towards technology providers and operators of SOCs. Then, I will collect questions at the end, so if you have questions on this very topic, we'll discuss it also at the end. Also, I look at the watch so they don't go too long. Then, we have a block of two projects that have to do with the support to the implementation of new legislation, in particular to the Cybersecurity Resilience Act, CRA, which is still in the last phases of its approval with the co-legislators. But this is coming online very soon. And as I said before, this is going to be a paradigm shift for the cybersecurity world in particular, because this will require all producers of products that contain digital elements that will go on the market. It will set for them cybersecurity requirements that they have to respect in order for those products to enter the market. Now you see that incredibly so, cybersecurity becomes a hard requirement for almost all producers of products. You know that today toothbrushes have digital elements. They are connected to your own smartphone. Coffee machines, and everything else, above these very items that we use every day, on a personal capacity, but everything else is digital. So cybersecurity will be object of the works of manufacturers, companies that today have not really thought about it. And this represents a great opportunity for the cybersecurity community to grow and to provide their own services, products and services to the market. But as Luca was saying, there's a lot of companies that are not equipped today to do this, and these are the small and medium enterprises. The large companies do have larger shoulders, they are already investing in cybersecurity, but the vast majority of small and micro companies do not have cybersecurity at the core of their own thoughts and their own operations. We would like to help. With this project, so in strengthening cybersecurity capacity for European SMEs, we would like to create a large platform that is worth 22 million euro. So we are going to fund one project only out of this topic, that will distribute what we call cascading grants, also known as financial support to third parties, FSPP. We are looking for a consortium that will set up a platform that will distribute these cascading funds to small, micro SMEs in order to help them be compliant with the requirements of the CRA. So they need to establish this kind of platform, for which they need to do a little bit of study before they submit the proposals. They would like to know what do they want to do with the stakeholders, what kind of stakeholders they want to target. So it is very important to give practical and quantitative details about the objectives of these open calls that they will have to open throughout Europe. So a question that I've often had is, we are going to build a consortium. Of course, we're not going to bring 27 member states into the consortium, but we still need to address all European countries when we launch the open calls. The answer is yes. So we are building a European exercise here, and we would like all SMEs, to potentially, your SMEs from all member states to potentially have access to these open calls. So no matter the geographical distribution of your consortium, the project will be required to address the whole European footprint. So this FSTP will be the very center of the very center objective of this topic. This will absorb the vast majority of the resources of the project itself, about 75%. That's what we write in the work program, if I'm not mistaken. There are other tasks though that we would like this project to do. That has to do with the setup of an open platform so that SMEs, whether they receive their own cascading fund or not, SMEs in general will have access to a wealth of resources related to the requirements, the compliance requirements of the CRA. So building up something that is useful with brand new resources that are developed by the project itself, or linking and integrating external resources. The important is that we create a pool of support material in the forms of compliance documents, technical documents, but also tools, if available, open source tools that will help the compliance with the legislation. Of course, there is a dissemination aspect that goes with it. The CRA will require everybody that is helping us with its implementation to disseminate and communicate that this legislation is coming along and the requirements of the legislation, and make sure that everybody is aware. In Europe, probably also beyond, because we have plenty of manufacturers and companies that put their products on the European market. They will have to respect that. So here, maybe this is not really the focus of this project, but there is a communication aspect that definitely goes beyond Europe. So this is implemented through, again here I'm not going to go to the text, this is implemented through a grant for support to third parties, which is a special grant mechanism that will grant 100% of the funding to implement the financial support to third parties exercise. As I said, we're going to target one project only that is worth 22 million euro that will last for 3 years. And this is open to all stakeholders. And of course, this project will have to work in close collaboration with the competence center itself and also with the network of national coordination centers. Then there is something else for the compliance with the CRA. So there's another topic we call tools for compliance with CRA requirements and obligation. So this is a different kind of exercise. This is open, not to only one project. This is we're going to allow several projects within the budget availability. This is to really develop tools for compliance. So this is a technical topic for developing tools that will help, again, small and medium enterprises be able to comply with the requirement of the legislation. Hopefully, and actually, it's actually written explicitly in the work program, to automate these processes. We need to facilitate the life of companies whose core business is not cybersecurity. So anything that will let them not only understand, but have available in practice to automate their own processes and their compliance processes is the focus of this topic. So the alignment with the legislation is something that will take some time to achieve. With these support projects, we start a wave of support actions that hopefully will try to help. So this is the whole idea. Through that project, help implement the European legislation. There are very different activities, that can be object of these tools, from penetration testing to the documentation and everything that is in between. So technical specifications that will help the company understand what they have to do. But really, the technical focus should be on the automation of the processes that will make the life easier for the various companies to comply with the legislation. I will also look at the watch. Do we have time for some questions? So the overall budget that we have here is 8 million euro, and the type of action is SME support actions grants, which differently from the simple grants that were object of the previous topic that I described, this provides up to 100% funding for the, it required, not 100%, 75% funding for the small and medium enterprises. This also welcomes a mixed consortium, so not only of small and medium enterprises, but also other actors that will receive 50% of the funding if they come together. So 75% for the SMEs if they apply, 50% for everybody else. And this is typically targeted towards the technology providers. So this concludes the block on the compliance with the CRA. Now I have a block of 3 topics on the support for the post-quantum cryptography world. Now, here the three topics will address three different part of the operations that we need to put in place. First of all, let me say a few things about post-quantum cryptography in general. You may know, you may be familiar, you may have heard that with the advent of quantum computing, traditional cryptography becomes basically vulnerable, if not obsolete. And there's a need for industry and public administration to give itself the means to transition, to progress towards a post-quantum world, post-quantum encryption world, that will make the networks and the data and the confidentiality of the operations secure again. For this reason, the Union has funded over the years a good number of research activities through Horizon Europe, both in quantum computing but also specifically for cybersecurity and post-quantum encryption. There are still calls that are available in Horizon Europe for research in post-quantum encryption, but we think that it's certain things are mature enough to start early deployments of these technologies in industry, especially with larger industry that has got capacity to start meaningful and large-scale demonstrators of such technologies in operational scenarios. And then there's let's say the problem, the issue of standardization, and then there's the transition of the public administration as well. Now, with these three topics, we want to cover basically the spectrum: private industry, the public administration, and the standardization components of the technology. Now, let me first dig into the first one. So, the first topic has to do with the deployment with industry. Now, here, as I said, we would like to set up some real-world demonstrators with industry, with large industry typically. Here, we list in the work program a number of industry that are object that could be potentially interested, in doing this kind of work, potentially ready. We list automotive, we list energy, we list finance. So the largest industry that run critical operations, that run critical infrastructures. This list is in a way non-exclusive of others, so these are listed as examples. If there are other domains that would like to submit a project proposals, they're also welcome to do so. But the gist here is that we think that the large industry is the one that is most ready to adopt and deploy such technologies today. So here we look for the integration into the real world and into the real world operation into real world industrial operations. So we're not looking for proof of concepts. We really would like to see some integration of post-quantum encryptions into the privacy preserving, into the security communication components of these various industrial players that will submit project proposals. Likewise, so this needs to be large-scale deployments. This is why we chose also this industry, so that they can showcase to others that these things today are possible, and they go beyond the aspect of research that we've been funding traditionally so far. There is also a need here for disseminating about this, that this issue of post-quantum is important, that this is coming into play, and that industry in Europe needs to be ready for this kind of scenarios. So any projects submitting to this call, they will also need to be helping us raising awareness about the problems. We implement this through simple grants, again with 50% co-financing. We have in excess of 22 million euro available for the call, and we expect projects to last for about 3 years. And here, this is targeted to the industrial sectors that I mentioned and to relevant stakeholders. Then, in connection to this, there's an issue that, let's say, it's often a little bit below the radar, of many, that has to do with standardizations, and in particular with the resources that stakeholders need to invest if they want to do a good job and they want to properly follow standardization activities. It is often the case, not only for this very area, not only for this domain of transition toward post-quantum, but in general, resources are needed to be able to influence the standardization bodies, which are international, to travel to relevant forum where these issues are discussed, to develop roadmaps, to develop standards. So here with this other topic, we would like, which is called standardization and awareness of the European transition to post-quantum cryptography, we would like to support stakeholders be involved for Europe, for Team Europe, in this relevant standardization bodies. So this has to do, as I said, with participation in the technical committees, but also for developing a European roadmap for this transition. It's important that this work happen because we need a European perspective that is given in these various standardization committees, technical committees, and we need to make sure that Europe is present and its voice is heard. For these reasons, we're making financial resources available of 1 million euro for a project of 3 months. This is a coordination and support action grant, which means that 100% of the funding will be reimbursed to the project for doing the activities that I described. Now, it's true there were 3 slides. I can go to them. This is the gist of the project. The slides also call for collaborations in Europe, to make sure that there is a network that is created, not only with the institutions, but also there are industrial networks that are built up to create these roadmaps, with the support also of the National Coordination Center and the ECCC activity. Then, industry large industry is probably more ready to adopt post-quantum encryption technologies, but also public administration needs to start reasoning on how to implement and deploy such technologies into its own operations. Yet, probably we're not there yet. We are not yet, to creating large-scale demonstrators for the public sector, but we would like to support a roadmap for the transition of European public administration to post-quantum cryptography. So with this topic, we would like to support stakeholders, typically national security agencies, to team up with the government agencies to design a transition roadmap that will let public administration deploy in hopefully the near future such technologies into its own operations. And this is what this topic is about. I described the problem statement is the same as for industry. There is a need to protect the confidentiality of the operations of the public administration, to protect the integrity of its data, and to make sure that collectively we are more resilient and secure. Our government are more secure and resilient. We have a bit less than €1 million, 750,000 euro for this action, for this road mapping action. Which is also distributed in the form of a coordination support action grant, which means 100% funding for this activity, for a project that will last for about 36 months. Now, this concludes the block of 3 on the post-quantum encryption, and then, as I announced before, I'm going to spend a few words before I leave some room for questions on the Cybersecurity Skills Academy. Again, you find this in the main Digital Europe World Program, not in the cybersecurity. So what is the problem statement? It is estimated that in Europe we are lacking capacity in cybersecurity skills, in cybersecurity talent, quantified in 200,000 personnel that are missing in the European market. The new European legislation, CRA that I mentioned, but also the implementation of NIS2, even the Cybersecurity Solidarity Act that was mentioned by Luca before, will create further requirements for people to work on cybersecurity. And Europe today is not equipped, simply not equipped. So there's a lack of pools of talents. We would like to help, and there are a number of activities that have been put in place in the past to try to cope with this problem. This is not enough. We need to scale up these activities and integrate them together. So it's important that we create a framework, an infrastructure that will pull resources together, that will pull activities together, that will build on the best practice that we put in place so far. And we call this European Cybersecurity Skills Academy, which has been object of a recent communication of last year by the European Commission that is linked to in the call document of the call. Anyway, it's easy to Google. Whoever is interested in participating in this call, please read not only the work program, but also the communication on the Cybersecurity Skills Academy that properly explains the objective of the exercise. Now, with this call of 10 million euro for the Cyber Skills Academy, we have 2 objectives. which are connected, of course, but for the sake of the proposal writing, they are independent from each other. So if you submit a proposal, you can only submit it for objective 1 that I'm going to describe, or for objective 2 that I'm going to describe. So one proposal cannot address together objective 1 and 2. We would like to keep the two things separated. Why? So the first topic has to do with the design of training programs for the industry, typically for SMEs, for startups, and public sector within the umbrella of the Cybersecurity Skills Academy. So this has to do really with the development of new training programs or scaling up existing ones for small and medium enterprises. It is very important that these trainings are targeted to the needs and requirements of industry. So whoever participates and wants to target this objective, they need to know those requirements. They need to be connected to industry. They need to know what's missing. They need to provide measures for the companies to better access talents. So they need to provide their own homeworks. They need to demonstrate that they know what they're doing, and they need to demonstrate that they be impactful in what will be proposed. So this knowledge of the business requirements is extremely important if you want to participate in this scope. But also, I think as I was saying, the design means that facilitate the access to the talents, to the skills, and to the tools, to the people, ultimately, from companies that are looking on the market for the experts, for example, to implement the legislation or to work anyway on cybersecurity, is going to be the object of this call and is going to be very important. And of course, don't forget to include, because it is a requirement of this call, to include all the network of institutions that can support us, starting from the national coordination centers, the ECCC, probably NISA as well. So there's an institutional support that will be available for working in this area. Then, objective 2 is different. So this has to do with the support to the operation and governance of the Cybersecurity Skills Academy. This is really a different kind of exercise with respect to objective 1, and this is why we're keeping it separated in the code. So this basically has to develop a framework of measures that will monitor the impact of all the activities that are under the umbrella of the Cybersecurity Academy, starting from the projects that we fund under Objective 1, but also all the other programs and funding instruments that we put available in the past that are coming to maturity. And it's important that we measure what has been done so that we know we have better insights into the future on the things that are missing. So, measuring of impact. Then, another important task is to maintain an overview over the landscape of the cybersecurity skills in Europe, so that, again, it becomes more evident what are the gaps, how the training curricula have to evolve. All these kind of activities that we know will be able to provide the overall pictures of cybersecurity skills in Europe. What else? Yes, there's definitely a need also for this coordination program to bring together the various entities that are active into this field, so that we are able to connect and we are able to better work together. This umbrella of the Cybersecurity Skills Academy, I think, is going to be the main instrument that we have to try to address this very big shortage of skills in Europe, that it can only work if we do it all together. And again, here also for this kind of operations involving the network of national coordination centers, ENISA, the conference center itself, and the Commission will be of utmost importance. So don't forget that this is a requirement of the work program, so it's not just, let's say, an operation that is run by the consortium, but the consortium will need to engage with the institutions to make this happen. For this particular part of the work program, Objective 2, we envision up to 2 million euro support out of the 10 million euro, 20 million euro that are available for the, I think there's a mistake, I think it's 10 million euro here. I will double check it. I think it's 10 million euro, not 20 million euros. There's a mistake on the slide. This is distributed in the form of simple grants for a duration of up to 36 months. And here we're targeting higher education institutions, training institutions, public administration services, and of course businesses and the national coordination centers, as I mentioned before. Now, with this, I conclude the overview of the topics that are open. So here there's an outlook of what's going to happen in the year. So maybe here there's also a small update in the slide, because the first line, the topic on the national coordination centers, has been open on the 15th of February, so that is open. But anyway, it will be object of a separate discussion with the NCCs. Then, later on, we're going to open the work on the SOCs again, on the national SOCs and also on the cross-border SOCs, which means a new cross-border SOCs or enlargement of the two existing ones. And also there is a coordination actions for the work on the SOCs that is not on the slide. And then later in the year, we are going to have another time, let's say another version of the support, the implementation of new legislation for industry, typically for the small and medium enterprises, and for the public administrations. So this is a general framework that will help companies and public administration implement NIS2, but also the CRA, all the cybersecurity legislation itself. This will be coming online later in the year. Then, Horizon Europe, there will be 2 new calls that will open in June. One has to do with the security of software and hardware, so which also offers quite a large framework for companies to participate. So it's a very large container, not prescriptive work program that will offer companies that are interested in deployment, solutions for secure software and hardware. Let's say, as I said, a framework, a container where their own core business, will be most likely compliant. And then there is the mirror-like version of the work that we were proposing in depth on the post-quantum encryption. Here we'll be dealing with research and innovation, so no more about deployment, but research and innovation for continuing the work on the post-quantum cryptography transition, which is far from over, and there is still support for research that is needed. So here you have the deadlines. So the call will open at the end of June and close towards the end of November on the 20th. So the budget that is available is 37 million euro for the first call on the security of software and hardware, and 23.4 million euro for the post-quantum cryptography transition. Now, with this, thank you for bearing with me. Yeah, I've been talking probably too long, and I think there is still some time for questions. Thank you for your attention.
There is a few minutes for questions, so thanks a lot, Francesco. Even though you have been super clear, I wonder what other questions there might be now. So thanks to my colleague Raluca and Marius who are ready to take questions from the room. Do you have any question about what has been presented by Francesco? Don't be shy. Yes, please.
Hello everyone, Danilo Delia from ECN, the Italian Agency for Cybersecurity. I have a question concerning the eligibility check for the cascade funding. So how do you expect for this year call that the consortium we are going to run the eligibility check for companies coming from all the 27 countries? So it will be a specific mechanism to be sure that the consortium will be able to cover all the European Union, or there are some specific advice that you can share with us on how to supervise the eligibility check for the cascade funding? Thank you.
Okay, so maybe I clarify the question. So I suspect probably this has to do with the fact that these are security restricted calls in cybersecurity, and there is a need to perform ownership control assessments of all the beneficiaries of these calls, including the recipients of financial support to third parties. So this is an actual requirement, and this is an actual operations that whoever submits a project proposal to that call will have to plan for. The Commission does not provide itself the support for doing this exercise for the recipients of financial support to third parties, yet this is an operational issue, because if you come with a consortium that is not hosting 27 different countries, it is a complicated part of the business. This is understood. However, it is part of the plans that you will have to provide. This can come in the form of collaborations, in the form of services that comes to the support in support of the consortium. But this is left open to the proposers to let to explain in the proposal how they're going to implement such issue. The Commission itself is not going to neither do the work, neither provide guidelines on how to do this in details. We left the implementation aspect open for the consortium to implement. Yet, thank you for the question, this is an important requirement that all companies or consortia that will implement such a scheme, they will have to bear in mind very clearly when they start their operations, or better, even before they start operations.
Thanks a lot. We have time for another question, please, at the bottom of the room.
Hi, this is Antonio from an SME in Spain. With regard to the consortium requirements, I know that for the Cyber Skill Academy, the consortium require at least 3 entities from 3 different European countries. For the others, CRA and AI, etc., what is the minimum in terms of consortium?
Yes, also a very good question, because it allows me to explain some peculiarities of the DEP program. So you heard me saying that many of these calls they implemented to simple grants. So for simple grants, we can accept 1 participants only, so there's no requirement for having consortia. Of course, for some of these actions, consortia are beneficial probably. So there is an opportunity to come solo as a company, or to come a good company with a consortium of your choice. This is for simple grants. There is 1 extra requirement for the Cybersecurity Skills Academy. It is implemented through simple grants, but it requires a consortium of 3 minimum, or an EDIC, which is a European Digital Industry Consortium. I believe that's the right explanation of the acronym. That has at least 3 members. So, but that's a very peculiarity of the Cybersecurity Skill Academies. Otherwise, if not explained otherwise, and that is not the case in this call, when there is a simple grant, 1 or many, it's your choice.
Okay, thanks a lot. Time for a very last question, if there is any. Otherwise, it's time for a coffee break. We reconvene. Thanks a lot, Francesco.
No, just I want to say that myself and the colleagues will be here the whole day. So if there are further questions, we are here to discuss. It's an info day, so please don't be shy if you want to address us also privately.
We reconvene at 11:12.